We're too busy having one foot in and one foot out at all times. In other words, the single biggest problem that I found with dating, and it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a man, a woman, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care how good looking you are, I don't care how smart you are. The preponderance of people in the dating world are always afraid of making a commitment to somebody out of FOMO. They're afraid they're going to miss out on that next better person.
Right.
So let's just keep putting off the commitment part as long as we can. So ultimately what happens is you never really get to know each other, and neither of you ever feels this sense of importance that you would otherwise achieve in monogamy.
It's your placeholder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of placeholding going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm sure in Las Vegas and a lot of places too. A lot of people think it's a game of musical chairs and I better grab a seat, but I'm not entirely comfortable with this seat.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, I'm still in touch with some of the women that I dated, 8-10 years ago. They're all still single.
And have they changed their approach, or did you say this is going to be a hard thing for you unless you're willing to put your whole self in and shake it all about, No,
they haven't changed their approach at all. They have either come to one of two conclusions: that they are content being alone and or having occasional intimacy with somebody on a 1 or 2 off basis, or they are willing to simply be a man's quote unquote girlfriend. Not necessarily that the guy's married, but he doesn't want to commit to them. So they're in like 8-year relationships without being married.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think a big reason for that, obviously, is people are, if I put my whole self in and I put all my chips on the table, I could get hurt. And
exactly.
If I go that emotionally vulnerable and willing to say, like, I'm, taking your hand and we're going to dive into the deep end of the pool, that's what people are afraid of.
Exactly. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was guilty of that from the very first time. I think I was willing to be vulnerable when I first got out there, but after you get your brains bashed in a few times, then you're kind of like, well, I'm just going to take on a kind of next mentality. I don't really care if you don't approve of me, because there's somebody lined up ready to say yes right now. And you can't really ever get anywhere, like in terms of a relationship, if you've got that approach.
Did the fact that you were divorced or been married a couple of times, did they hold that against you because they were like, I don't trust that you can do this for 50 years?
Well, I think anytime you have young children involved, that's always going to be a problem. I mean, a problem meaning it's an obstacle towards dating. Unless they have children of their own and they're all around the same age, I think most people would prefer that you don't have children. There wasn't anything I could do about that. And, so.
Yeah, I think so. There's two sides to that, too. There's some people who have small children or have children only want to date people with children because they're like, you won't understand my life unless you have children. My answer to that is that's like trying to hit 4 or 5 bullseyes in terms of scheduling and all
and
that
you're
kind
right.
of stuff.
And you're right.
And, I think somebody who dates somebody with children, I think that they can share some of the burden. I think that they can, definitely assimilate into a family. I think people should stop doing. A lot of divorced people do that. Like, I only want to date people with children. I think that's a mistake. Anyway, so you keep going through this. You keep banging your head against the wall. You're frustrated with the pool. Are you frustrated with your own approach to this? Are you questioning your own choices? I keep finding these women, or are you at the point where you're like, this is the most of the women?
Well, the approach that I took was I never allowed myself to be alone for like more than a day. There was always somebody lined up, ready to go. And I just kind of attributed it to, I knew I was largely at fault for various relationships not working out, but I kind of believed at the time that if I just keep going, eventually I'll grow up.
Yeah.
And this is just the cost of doing business. It's like you got to make 39 cold calls to get one yes.
That's a good way to look at it.
Okay, so I treated it
We're
like
all just cold calling out there.
Right. I treated it like a business process. And that doesn't mean I wasn't earnest, because I was earnest with every single one of them. And I never cheated. I never wanted to be a part of, an open relationship. But, I think I had my own, baggage I was dealing with at the time that didn't make me suitable to be a good partner. And there wasn't anything that was going to happen like short term that was going to fix that.
Why didn't you go through, or maybe you did, where you're like, you know what? I'm single in Vegas. I'm just going to enjoy this town for a while and not be in a relationship. What was the driving thing that you always wanted to be in a relationship?
I think it was just the way I was brought up. The other thing is, I'll give you an anecdote. At one point in time, I was dating 4 women all at the same time, sometimes in the same day. That's how ridiculous it was.
Exhausting.
It was absolutely
fattening.
It was absolutely exhausting. But as I told each one of them, I said, these are your rules. Yeah. This is what you have demanded. You don't want to be committed to me. You just want to enjoy me. I can remember one quote from a girl who I really, really liked a lot. And we had a great time together in terms of companionship, and she was funny. She's like, listen, I've already been married. I've got 2 older kids. Why don't we just enjoy each other for what we are? I'm like, okay, well, but then what happens is when they ultimately become aware of one another, then they start freaking out. And then, ultimately one said, okay, well, I want to be monogamous with you. But then, over time, she realized that just because she was attracted to me, and this is what we were talking about before, didn't mean I was really the right person for her. And when she finally came to that conclusion, she then told me she wanted to see other people, and I said, okay, you're out.
So fast forward, you go through all this, and then one day you decide an experiment. Is that a good way to put it?
Okay. Well, let me just back up for 1 second.
Okay.
I'm going to skip over this really quickly.
Okay.
I was married a 3rd time.
Okay. 3rd time, not the charm.
Also annulled, but we're going to skip over all that because that was a really, really challenging time in my life.
How long was that one?
Well, the relationship itself was probably 2 years, but again, the marriage was 30 days. So,
Master of the 30-Day Marriage. That's a good book title.
I think it's a reality show.
I think that's a
30-day marriage.
Yeah, we have
You got 30
90-day
days.
fiance. We'll do 30-day marriages. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same concept because they only have 90 days to make their thing work. You have 30 days to make this work, but nobody wants to go getting married if it's not for real. Trust me on that.
Annulments should be easier to get.
Well, they're easier to get in some states than others, and that's why people choose Las Vegas. I mean, Britney Spears didn't get out of her marriage.
Right.
She wouldn't have gotten out of that as easily if she had done it in California.
Within, 90 days, you should both be able to just walk away in the state.
I absolutely agree. And you know what? I even tell people why marriage at all? You don't need to be married to be committed and in love with each other. And basically a marriage is a contract between 2 people and your state. What does that have to do with romance?
I agree. And a lot of people probably know they want to get out of this on the honeymoon or a week later. And because of the legal wranglings of getting divorced, they sort of ride it out because they don't want to deal with that. So if it was easier, like 9 days, both parties can walk away with a phone call, it would be a lot of marriages ending quickly.
Well, I just thought of something that I wanted to bring up, and maybe this puts my 2 annulments into perspective, because I know it sounds kind of comical and it was insincere, but it really wasn't. And here's why. Both of those situations were the one foot in, 1 foot out situation. Both of those women and I agreed at the time that if you don't make a commitment, you're never going to know if this is meant to be. And we've been together long enough. There'd already been 1.5 years, 2 years with each of them.
Right. Yeah,
Boom. Commitment.
At some point, and that is the, you say people don't really need to get married, but that is the hurdle that people need to sometimes cross to know how serious they are, because it's really easy to walk away as boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right. So fast forwarding to the question you were about to ask me, I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way than going through the legal nonsense of getting married to show somebody that you're committed. So after about maybe a year or so after my third marriage, the second one that was annulled, I was back out there dating. I had recently been in a relationship with a woman where, like we were talking about, the connection was there, the love was there, the circumstances were not there. She had 2 kids, and I was never going to be stepping foot in that house like on a permanent basis until they were out of there. And I didn't want to wait 6 years. So we decided to part ways, but kind of, keep hanging around each other a little bit. And then, so I was out on this date, regular Match.com date, and it was with a performance artist. So, who had trouble meeting men because of her line of work. And she also was fiercely independent, and, she wasn't looking for a rich guy. She was just really looking for like a normal guy to like hang out with it. Long story short, our date was kind of like floundering. And then right before we left, I said, look, do this. Commit to me for 1 week. And that's how it all started. And then you can ask me whatever you want.
1 week. So that just came to you in the moment?
It came to me in the moment.
You thought it was the shortest amount of time that seemed like a commitment.
Right. I knew that
Sunday
we liked
Sunday. It's like a fast. It's like a diet.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that we liked each other, and I didn't want to just write it off that, okay, well, she's in this strange line of work and she's got hobbies that I'm not into, but because we like hanging around each other. And I wanted to see for myself whether or not you could turn something like that into something more real. And then after she agreed to do that, I went home and I thought of a couple of other parts of our agreement. And one of them, because, this is a common concern for women. They think that men are just trying to hit it and quit it and move on. I said, I'll tell you what, as a part of this, we're going to agree to have complete monogamy. We're going to go on 3 dates a week. And we're not going to spend 25 hours on the phone every day trying to get to know each other. That's the whole point of 3 dates a week. Now, after a week, you can say sayonara, and I can do the same, and hopefully we'll part as friends.
So you don't just get 1 date. You're committing to 3. This is the pack. You got to buy the package.
Yes.
It's 3 dates, 1 week.
3 dates in a week.
3 dates, 1 week. No sex.
No sex.
Daily phone call.
Just one, and briefly, just kind of, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Click. Not let's talk about. Tell me what kind of a childhood you had.
So you posted this.
Yes.
You posted, and you can read. I want you to read exactly what you posted on where? Match.com?
I was on Match.com, and I think, do they still have Plenty of Fish anymore?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Well, I always say, Plenty of Fish, you might as well be on Craigslist. Get off Plenty of Fish. Yes.
Tinder didn't even exist back then.
No.
Tinder is apparently like Grindr now for straight people, right?
It's pros and cons. A little quicker, but yeah. But back then it was sort of Matchy, Harmony, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish. That's pretty much it.
Right. Okay. So, but I think Plenty of Fish was just weird. I put it up there too, but I didn't get the response. Okay. So here's what I wrote. Gosh, I should have brought my reading glasses. Okay, it says, author's note, I no longer have hair due to a spiritual commitment. I'm like a part-time Buddhist. But it grows back fast. Please see enclosed pictures. So I posted pictures of
with hair and without.
With hair without. I had recently shaved it.
Okay.
And I wanted them to see what I'd look like if I had hair.
Okay.
And then I said, the whole dating model is wrong. We meet with strangers and hope that we're
that we've met our soulmate.
that we've met our soulmate. Yeah, there